So, last night I was cleaning out my cupboards and I came across this. It's a Thaddeus Young Brooklyn Nets Gladiator bobblehead. I got it the last time I went to a Celtics Nets game in Brooklyn. They were giving it out for free, and I'm a Celtics fan, but this is pretty damn cool. Anyway, you got to check it out. Also, the eye detect is picking up on the bobblehead. Let me get a shot of this real quick. This is unreal. A7S3. Look at that. Are you kidding me? Woo! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name's Jed Dobre and thank you for joining me. If you're new here, please consider liking and or subscribing. It really helps this channel grow and, you might learn something. And the music suggestion of the day is A$AP Rocky Testing. If you do want to actually test out a new set of speakers or headphones, track 1 Distorted Records, that'll let you know if they're any good. Today, we're here to talk about the new sky replacement tool in Photoshop. It's so damn simple. It's kind of cool, it's kind of creepy, but I do need to preface something before we get into it. I grew up, my dad is Pete Dobre, he's a landscape photographer here in South Australia. And Dad doesn't Photoshop anything, he doesn't remove like clouds and add clouds and composite photos, because that's what it becomes a composite, not a photograph. And he's a photographer, not a compositor, or whatever you want to call them. Growing up, I really learned to appreciate what it takes to capture a proper moment with a really cool cloud or a lightning storm or where it might be, time lapses, whatever. Dad would make us go and visit places and we'd sit there for like 8 or 9 hours to get that gap in the cloud so the sun came through and hit the right sort of scenery or where it might be. And that's why Dad's got some really cool shots with clouds that are just absolutely amazing. He'll be doing something at home, he'll see the clouds and go, I need to drive 5 hours that way so I can get a really cool shot in front of this thing. That's just who he is, and I really respect that. And that's kind of how I've grown up to appreciate nature and the clouds that are there. So I say this with a hint of like, I don't really like the fact that they've made this so accessible for everyone, because it just brings another element of that don't believe what you see on your screen. But on social media and stuff like that, you just get all these photos. I'm like, God, it's so heavily edited and I don't believe that sky is real. So my one thing I probably took from my dad is that especially a landscape environment, if you're adding something, it's not really the nature and the landscape that you saw, and I really don't enjoy that. I have no problem removing people or cars or anything that moves from an image, because if you wait long enough, it wouldn't be there. You can get the shot, that's cool with me. But if you're going to enter a photo into a landscape or a nature competition and it's a composite, it's not really a landscape photograph. Anyway, enough of that. It is a new tool in the new update of Photoshop, and let's go have a look at how we do it. Alright, so here we are in Photoshop. This is a real simple photo, just a blanch point, nice straight horizon. Let's see how easy it is to do. So with no further ado, all we're going to do is have our image on the screen. We're going to go up to edit, we're going to come down to sky replacement, and here is our tool. So we can choose our sky. Wow, that has done an incredible job. That borderline looks realistic. It's kind of cool that it's actually changed the tones down here to match the sky. But let's go have a look at a few different sky options. That's not real. That's clearly fake. That's semi-convincing, and I understand the appeal for the lazy photographer, but I wasn't brought up that way. Mama didn't raise no quitter. Alright, let's move along to another shot. Let's have a little bit more fun with something else. Now this one could be a little bit interesting. This is MJ Rosie's Beagle Ear. Now, although this does have a straight horizon, it should in theory be pretty straightforward. It was shot at about f1.4, f2, I'm gonna guess 1.4 maybe. So it's a pretty shallow depth of field. So I haven't done these ones before, I don't know. So if Photoshop can detect that it should be out of focus and then blurs the background, that's pretty cool. But if it doesn't, and it just comes in nice and in focus, it's gonna look pretty average, let's be real. So let's give it a crack. Let's go edit, back down to sky replacement. That looks terrible. Let's try something. Let's go back to this this stormy one. Where was that? Here. Now this is where it obviously falls straight apart. It cannot detect the fact that that was shot at such a fast aperture and there should be a lot of blur. It doesn't work in that environment. So if you are going to use this tool, be very aware of that, because you could leave looking like an absolute fool. Alright, here's a fun one. This is a Jeep Gladiator. up at Wollonga down near where I live. When I say near where I live, it's about an hour away. Alright, sky replacement. Ooh, I don't really think... See, I just don't think, like, the ocean would be that blue if the sky was that angry and had these really warm tones through there. So I don't really like that one. Let's give it another crack with something else, eh? Let's go this sunset here. Once again, the greens of the grass there would be much more orange if that was to be a real life case. Let's just go with some simple clouds. I could buy that. I could look at that and go, that's probably there. More like the original. I'm not still a massive fan of that one. Alright, that's probably the most realistic one I've seen so far. So let's take that one and we can tweak our brightness. Make it a little bit darker. Nah. And we can, we'll shift the edge. Ooh. Okay, that's nice. Oh, we can make the scale of the cloud. Whoa. Very unrealistic there, but now I believe you can actually import your own clouds into this because there's only about 20 or 30 preset ones, and that's something to consider because if everyone in the world is using these same preset clouds, it's gonna look pretty silly if you upload a photo and you claim it to be real and there's like a million other dudes who have the same clouds in their shot all claiming it to be their shot. Because we know that's not true. One thing to also consider when you are replacing anything in an image, especially to do with clouds or adding things in below, like a drone shot or something like that. If the sun is coming at this angle, where should the shadows go? That way. The sun and the shadows are directly related, obviously. It's a massive light source that creates shadows. So if you're going to put a sky in, and it has a sun sort of coming from this way and the shadow on the backside of the clouds is here, but your subject is going the other way, that is a massive telltale sign that that sky has been replaced. I've seen so many people on Instagram that I follow, people that I'm like, you know, I respect this guy's work, and I've seen a shot and I'm like, they have added that because that shadow's going that way, that shadow's going that way, and it just really frustrates me because, just be honest, you know, just go extra, you know, do the extra work to take the shot that actually is what you're after. Just because the weather was no good on the day you're there, you know, that's life. Sometimes you can't go to the coolest places in the world and have the best weather, but what that means is you get an opportunity to get a different shot to the people that did have the really good weather. Use your creativity, don't just rely on a computer to do the work for you. Anyway, let's have a look at this one. This one's going to be a little bit challenging. We have not the straightest horizon because we've got these nice mountains or hills, sorry, going down into the ocean, and then the ocean tapers off there. But I really like this misty fog here. Let's see what we can come up with. I don't think this one's going to work. No, take note in this one, we do have a bit of rain in here, so it has to kind of, I reckon this one might work. That actually probably works the best that I've seen so far. I'm not even going to play around with anything on that. Let's have a shift of the edge. I don't know what that means, but oh yeah, that's actually pretty cool because as you see, as we lighten this section here of the mountains is actually lightening with that. So a bit more of a seamless blend, I suppose. All right, I'll export that one for a thumbnail. Now these next two, in fact, are some of my favorite photos I've ever taken. This one here is my mate Tom Schneider, just an epic hike down to this beach called Tunks, and just look at the sky there. Fun fact, I had my camera bag weighing, it's like 20-30 kilos on my back. I had my surfboard under one hand, I had my bag with like my fins and all that in the other, and my camera was just in my hand. I was just kind of looking like, that looks good, spray and pray sort of thing. I had my ND filter on the front of the camera, and because it's such a steep hike and it's quite tiring, and I'm just up and down and up and down, I actually had bumped the ND filter and it had over rotated, so I had a bit of cross polarization going on. So you see here, this section here that's darker, and it's darker down here, is actually the cross polarization, but I do think it makes an awesome kind of vibe. I just think it makes an awesome little effect on this, unintended, but I absolutely love it. And I just love that Tom here is just central, and just the way that this path just blends right up to him. I love this photo. I'm not a composition master, but I nailed that. All right, let's go change that sky. Once again, that same old sky looks pretty damn good. Wow, yep. It's pretty convincing. I don't like that one as much. That one I don't think is believable. Oh, I hate it because I kind of like that. And it's, I mean, I think this should still be probably a little bit more orange, but in actuality, the sun is going to be down behind the other side of that hill, which means the light's reflecting up to those clouds. Get a little bit of a bounce back. You can see there's a little bit of orange through there. So they've done a pretty good job at that, actually. Let's pull the brightness down on that, actually, I reckon. Oh, there we go. And bring the temperature a bit warmer. It's kind of cool. I don't think it's believable. If I saw that on my timeline, I think I'd question that. Alright, this might be my favorite photo I've ever taken. And when I say this might be, this is my favorite photo I've ever taken. It's the Taj Mahal. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'll try to link it up there if I remember which video it is. This photo took a lot of work. There was families, there was a group of about 15 people down here getting their photo taken. People all over here. Took a lot of time using content aware field, clone stamping, the pattern tool. I had to reconstruct this fountain, basically get this portion, flip it over, match it there, and fix all the tiles. I don't have a problem with doing that because those people move. That's what they do, they move. And you can capture what is behind that and layer it and get a nice image, but I didn't have the time. We were only there for a little bit. This is a sunrise session at the Taj Mahal. That sky is absolutely real. It was what was there. Let's see what happens when we sky replace my favorite photo. It's clearly fake. Okay, that one's semi-believable because we've got the sun coming this way. It is lighting those clouds. I think if I was going to want to stay with that, I'd probably want to lighten those clouds a bit. However, one caveat, if you've ever been to the Taj Mahal, you know that you wouldn't have these clouds that thick down here. And if we go back to the original shot, you can see this haze here. That is the pollution. You wouldn't see a cloud down there. It's just the haze of the pollution and the smog of the cars and all the other stuff that's going on around the Taj Mahal, which can get quite interesting. Let's see if we can find something else that suits this one a little bit better. I think that looks sick. I do genuinely like that. The light is probably not too realistic because we have such a bright sunlight on here, and then these clouds are clearly being lit from a sun that is, down here behind the Taj Mahal, lighting these under portions of the clouds. However, in very off cases, if you get a nice break in the clouds, you can get lighting kind of like this. Not to the full extent, because if that's lit, these clouds you have to assume are probably going to be lit too, but just on a face value, if you're flicking through, I go, ooh, that looks kind of cool. But let's press on. Gross. That might be the most believable. Still pretty edited. This one here, so this one probably has to be my favorite of the lot because we do still have this haze incorporated, and while we do have these clouds here, I think we probably could manipulate that a little bit if we shift that edge. Now let's go back the other way. Yeah, I reckon that kind of does it a bit there. Now, you know what, this is my favorite, even though it makes no sense. I just think it looks cool. I do still way prefer my original shot of the Taj Mahal. It's going to take a lot for me to take a photo that's more special to me and that I enjoy more than that original one I took. So while this one here is pretty unrealistic in terms of the physics of where the sun's going and what should be lit and how it should be lit, face value is probably my favorite one. If I'm flicking past that on Instagram, I'll probably stop, give it a cheeky little double tap. Speaking of double tapping, go hit me up at JedDabre. Anyway, I do think my initial photo of the Taj Mahal is still better. My personal opinion. I'm pretty biased because it is my favorite photo. Anyway, if you are interested in replacing skies in Photoshop, be careful, be realistic about it, and that is exactly how you do it. My name's thew. Thank you so much for sticking around. Give it a big fat thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree with the replacing skies? Do you think you should have to preface it? And if you're in a photo competition, do you think there should be a separate subcategory for composite landscape nature photography? Anyway, that's it from me, guys. Let me know anything, I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye! I can't believe the eye detect works. That's just crazy.